anyone ever heard of Barb Nicolosi?
Yeah.
Fantastic. She she was a former religious sister who felt literally called out. She still lives as a single, she still lives the vocation of a single woman in the world, but she felt called into to do screenwriting work, and she set up a ministry in Hollywood called Act One, and they have hundreds of people involved in this organization. They do screenwriting and scripting, and they work with the actors. The mission is to help Christians who go to Hollywood remain Christian, and she's done some phenomenal work, and she wrote an article one time entitled "Why Non-Believers Make the Best Christian Movies,"
yeah. And
she would point to things like Babel and these kinds of movies that profoundly connect us with truth, goodness, and beauty, whereas some of the stuff that Christians are making is so cheesy and sappy and stupid that no one watches it. What's the point of making a movie that only devout Catholics are going to go and watch? Like, go straight to DVD. You know, like, we need to make movies that non-believers are going to go and watch and be profoundly moved and put in touch with something more bigger than they could ever imagine. Okay?
You said that non-believers make the best.
Well, that was the title of an essay by Barbara Nicolosi.
Okay, so
I'm tongue-in-cheek, but
yeah. Okay, well, could Mel Gibson and Martin Scorsese may have been tongue-in-cheek when they did that, or you think? Or?
I don't think Mel was. Two very different films. You're talking about The Last Temptation of Christ. Martin Scorsese,
yeah,
was that?
Right.
That was that movie,
I believe
right?
that's. I forgot the title, but yeah, The Passion of the Christ was Mel Gibson's.
Yeah, I mean, Scorsese's film. It's very interesting. Films like that and Jesus of Montreal were, again, made by non-believers, but asked some very provocative questions. And the thing is, can we allow ourselves to examine those questions, or is our faith so weak that any kind of probing question makes us run for the hills or scream and yell? It's very interesting, the portrayal. I'll just say this. Anyone ever seen Ben-Hur? If you haven't seen Ben-Hur, it's your homework. Go home and watch Ben-Hur. Drink coffee first. It's like 4 hours, you know. You remember the opening scene of what's the opening scene of Ben-Hur? Charlton's at his workshop. Romans are passing by outside. He goes outside to take a look, and what does he see? Come on. Well, a man falls to the ground, and he goes to give him water, and the man looks up into his eyes, and he freezes, and you realize that it's Jesus. That's right. But the thing, am I mixing movies up?
No, that's good.
That's the robe. Okay, forget everything I'm saying. I've just lost all credibility. I'll talk to you later, Chris. Okay, but my point is still valid. In movies such as The Robe and others, including Ben-Hur, you never see the face of Jesus. Only see him the back of his head. Very interesting. The first movies to depict biblical stories and to depict Christ, the icon of the invisible God, the one who gives God a face, you don't see his face. Very interesting that within Christianity there has been an iconoclastic, a continuance of iconoclastic theology. You can't show even Christ's face. But the whole point of the incarnation, that Jesus is the face of the Father. The whole point of the incarnate, one of the points is that you can look at the face of God through the person of Jesus. But that was in the first depictions of Christ in films. You couldn't, so a denial in one sense of his humanity. Really a very unorthodox theology in terms of the incarnation, right? So Scorsese comes along and makes a film examining the temptation of Christ. Well, what does it mean to say that Jesus was tempted, and how did he experience that temptation? We're never going to know that. But is it within the bounds of art to maybe examine that? I think it has validity. And I think as a church we don't do ourselves any favors when we react the way we do. I'm not saying I'm a fan of his movie, but But I don't think we should have that kind of knee-jerk reaction, and I know some people might not agree with me on that.
Well, that was kind of my question. I mean, there's boycotts called for some of those movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's just a crowd that says, I'm going to go buy a ticket for that just because those guys are asking me to boycott it. You know, that doesn't do anything. It doesn't help. Mel Gibson's movie, again, got criticism from sometimes from the opposite side. And, you know, I think Gibson's movie was a meditation, a theological meditation, and an artistic expression, a particular artistic expression. May not have appealed to everyone, but I personally found it very, very powerful. Yeah.
You just mentioned that Catholics are having knee-jerk reactions and running away, and we had this discussion. I mean, my sister's a teacher in the Catholic school, and when the first Da Vinci movie came out, the priest came on stage to all the teachers and told them, dare not go see that. And we mentioned it here, someone, you know, there's people saying, don't go see those movies. And we've also talked about how our society and what's on TV is not presenting the kind of values we would like our families to watch. So should we close our minds, shut the door to those kinds of things? Or would you say that we should actively get involved in the secular media and have different kinds of reactions when they put stuff up that you might find offensive or is not exactly in?
I think they're great opportunities. Everyone's talking about Jesus. Hey, great! Everyone's talking about Jesus. Let's talk. Let's go to it. Let's speak the truth of what it is we believe. Let's point out that this is a kind of a silly story, and let's have a talk about this. I certainly don't think we should not go to see movies like that because everyone else is seeing them. If we're going to engage them, we've got to have credibility. We've got to know what we're talking about. Now, I might resent the fact that the guys who made the movie are going to get a few bucks from me, but you know, I think we have to know what we're talking about. I feel that strongly. And at our church, I went to see the movie. I invited parishioners to go see it, but to get informed. Outside, parishioners reading and learning about Christology and the early church and Gnosticism and all these things. And so for us, the Da Vinci Code was a huge opportunity for people to actually grow in their faith and grow in their understanding. Great. Thanks, Dan Brown.
Yes, we did that too at my church in Brantford, and it was an amazing experience. But I'm wondering, in addition to having dialogue and talking amongst ourselves so that we can learn and be educated, what advice would you give us as young adults living in the secular world, because not all of us work for Catholic or Christian institutions? What advice would you give us to action some of the things we're talking about today? If we see stuff, if we read the paper, watch a movie, watch something on TV, you're the expert in the media, so how would we how would we as young adults get involved and get informed and have some influence in the media?
Well, I think that the starting point is to be spiritually grounded. We've got to be grounded. Otherwise, we're going to be a noisy gong, a clanging cymbal. The reading from evening prayer tonight was from the letter of James. I got my eye bravery here. And it says this: wisdom from above is first of all innocent. It is also peaceable, lenient, docile, rich in sympathy, and the kindly deeds that are its fruits, impartial and sincere. The harvest of justice is sown in peace for those who cultivate peace. Beautiful words. And if we're going to be talking about being critical, being on guard, engaging these things, I think this is kind of where we have to start. And in order to be in touch with that kind of thing, we've got to pray. I don't know about you guys, but if my prayer life isn't in order, I'm an idiot. Simple as that. I'm a total idiot. God should get me out of the way. Okay. So we need to be people of prayer. We need to be connected with we've got to have faith connections with God. We've got to be in touch with the Holy Spirit. We can't be just off on our own, reacting out of our own whims. We've got to be seeking the wisdom that is from God and seeking and have discerning hearts for this. So that when we speak, we're not speaking out of anger, frustration, we're speaking out of love, and we have that all of those things that James talked about in that reading.